With the announcement of Monster Hunter Wilds and the release of the beta, I thought that this game had potential to be the best Monster Hunter we've seen yet. Now, I said potential, relax. But then I thought, if this game has the potential to be the greatest Monster Hunter yet, what game is the greatest Monster Hunter we've ever gotten so far? I find that there's one Monster Hunter in particular that takes that crown by a mile, in my opinion. Follow me on a journey to the past, to a Monster Hunter most of you probably have never played. I'm talking about Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, specifically the Switch version. Now, I know a lot of people say World is the greatest Monster Hunter, or Monster Hunter 4 is the greatest Monster Hunter, which I think Monster Hunter 4 is the greatest main series title. But if we're talking about title for title, it's Generations by a mile. Now, why do I say Generations? Why do I put Generations over Monster Hunter 4? Why do I put Generations over Monster Hunter World? To keep it short and simple on why I like Generations better than World and Monster Hunter 4, I'm going to skim over some quick points because I don't want this to be a comparison video to those games, because I want to talk about how good Generations is in this video. So the reason why I think Generations beats Monster Hunter 4, quick and simple, is it has way more content than Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. It's in the same generation, so the engine is the exact same, but you have more monsters, more gear, more weapons and armor than ever, more monsters to fight in this game, and you have weapon styles you can use like Striker or Valor. They keep the gameplay fresh and engaging, and you can mix and match these mechanics to just have an endless amount of gameplay, really. So that's why Generations beats Monster Hunter 4 quickly, and I believe that it beats World also because it also has more content than World. And yes, World has HD graphics that look amazing, and there's no loading screens, and the biomes look amazing. The monsters look amazing, but there were a lot of things that held the World back in the grand scheme of things, like the Clutch Claw and Iceborne. A lot of people complained that you needed to use that and it became a crutch in the game. Also, a lot of the armor and weapon designs were kind of lackluster and looked very realistic and just lacked a lot of personality and soul. A lot of the weapons ended up looking the same, and that was a major disappointment coming off of the 4th generation, where they had so many amazing weapon and armor designs. But like I said, this isn't a comparison video to this game compared to those games. This is a deep dive on why Monster Hunter Generations is special. So let's get into it. Monster Hunter Generations is special because it's an anniversary title, and it's celebrating the history of Monster Hunter up until that point in the series. So that means you're able to visit the original town from the first ever Monster Hunter game on PS2. Now, I never played the original Monster Hunter on PS2, but the fact that I was able to go back to the original village and experience it, and equip quest and manage my items and do everything you do before a hunt in this village, and I could basically make that my main hub if I wanted to, was really cool, and that's something that I would have never been able to experience. They also did this with the second Monster Hunter game that came out on the PSP with the portable series, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. Now, I dumped about 300 plus, maybe 400 hours into that game, and I remember the village very fondly. The fact that it's a complete like one-to-one replica of the original town and village is really cool, and I love to equip quest and use that as my main village personally. They even have the village from Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, and I didn't play that game very much, but the fact that they also incorporated that town and it has a very nice like autumn, like fall aesthetic to it is really, really cool, and I'm happy they incorporated it into this game. On top of adding all the original villages up until that point, this Monster Hunter game has the most monsters ever dropped in a Monster Hunter game, with a total of 129 monsters that you can hunt. 36 small monsters, 93 large monsters, and 117 returning monsters in the game. You can just see the sheer amount of content that this game has, and Monster Hunter games already have a lot of content, and this is a jam-packed anniversary edition game. And on top of that, they still took the time out to add 8 new original monsters to this game, and a lot of them are iconic, and people have been begging for these monsters to return since they dropped in this game, like Valstrax. Now, more doesn't always mean better, but in this case, it absolutely does. That means all your favorite monsters are here, all the way from Generation 1. We have all the Elder Dragons, and I know not every single monster was added in the series, but we pretty much have like 90 to 95% of the Monster Hunter cast in this game, which means you get all their weapons and armor, which means you have more customization options, which means you have more things to kill, which means you have more things to mix and match, which means you have more things to do. If you wanted to make a set for every weapon from every monster, it would probably take you over 5,000 hours to get all those materials and things crafted if you wanted to craft almost everything. And even if you crafted just what you wanted, that would take you about 300 to 400 hours. I'm a little over 200 hours in, and I've only built about 3 endgame build sets that I really enjoy, and there's so many more out there that I just haven't scratched yet. And when I take a look at World, this game just shits on World when it comes to its content side. There's a lot of my favorite monsters that are just missing from World, and there's a lot of armor sets and weapons that don't feel very rewarding to craft because they just don't look cool. And the whole point of this game is to craft cool looking shit and to kill cool looking monsters. So that's like 50% of the reason why I even played this game in the first place. In Generations, I find myself wanting to craft literally almost everything because everything looks cool as shit and has crazy damage numbers. And there's so many different routes that I can take my character when it comes to weapon and armor design. And I cannot stress enough how cool the weapons and armor look in this game. Even the oversaturation of colors on certain weapons just make it look so nice. And yeah, this game doesn't have super HD textures and all that crazy stuff that World has, but I just really like the aesthetic. And I know that's personal opinion, but I personally like this aesthetic more than I like World's aesthetic. And it's so much more than just weapons and armor and your character and monsters. You have your palicos. And of course, you make palico weapon and gear off of the monsters you kill, so they have even more options also. And you can go to the palico farm and train them. You can invest them into whatever skills you want. You can make them bombers, you can make them assists, you can make them healers, you can make them support, you can make them fighting, you can make a gatherer palico. So not only do you have a crazy amount of customization within yourself and your own character, you can customize your follower and your companion to levels never before seen in a Monster Hunter game. Not only that, you can play as a palico in this game. You can literally turn into a palico and play as a palico in this game. So if the normal grind of Monster Hunter got you going, you can literally play as a palico and just have some wacky fun. Personally, I don't really like playing as a palico, but the fact that it's there, I think is just cool as shit. And even when it comes to like gathering like honey and herbs to craft potions and all that stuff, the mechanics in this game are amazing. I never feel like I'm running out of anything because I can either buy things at the local store or I can just send my palicos on gathering hunts to collect items for me while I just focus on hunting, and I let my palicos focus on getting my materials and farming my gear. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this game. I've been talking about gear, I've been talking about customization, I've been talking about the bulk of monsters, but what I haven't talked about is the gameplay. We have all these things to make the game good, and we haven't even got to the gameplay yet. Now the gameplay here is pretty straightforward. Like in any Monster Hunter game, you go and you kill monsters, but things are a little different here compared to Rise and World. Back in the day, you had to paintball a monster to find their location, so usually you want to get the paintball right as soon as you start the quest and you spot the monster, so that way you can follow them. And also, this game is more methodical and slower paced, so you really have to time your movements precisely or you will get punished really hard. And I know some people might not like that, but I started playing on Generation 3, so I was already used to this kind of format and the way you play Monster Hunter already by the time Generations came out. I was already 2 Monster Hunters deep into the series, and this being my 3rd entry, it was like second nature to me. So that's not really a factor for me. I know a lot of people that started in World or Rise, they can't go back and play these slower, kind of clunkier games, quote unquote. But me personally, I have a great time playing these games because to me, this is how Monster Hunter should be played. And one thing I noticed when I was going back and recording footage for this video is that the game just has so much soul, like the music. Way the monsters move, the animations, the color, the level design, just everything feels like it's just bleeding character. And it's kind of crazy that they fit that much soul and character in a game that kind of looks like a 3DS game because it came out on 3DS, you know? It's updated for the Switch, but still, you can tell that they made these games with love and care, and the people really cared about what they were making when they made this game. That's not to say that new Monster Hunters don't also get that love and care, but I just feel a different type of energy when it comes to this game. And it could be because it's the anniversary edition, but that just adds to this game's legacy and everything that I love about this game. But getting back on track on gameplay too, one thing that I like about the old Monster Hunters is that you had to get all your items, like your potions, your whetstones, and all those things in order before you went on a hunt. because once you went on a hunt, you weren't able to just spam camps and just keep grabbing materials. Now, I know they call this a quality of life feature and that it's annoying when you forget your items, but once you become a Monster Hunter veteran and you get used to the mechanics, you almost never forget the items that you need to bring. Prepping and bringing the things that you need becomes second nature, and it's not something that really hinders you once you get used to it. And you can even make item loadouts, so you can just click an item loadout that was pre-saved already, so you don't have to go through all that sorting in the chest. You can also make armor and weapon loadouts too, so you can just click on the set that you want and it'll have your weapon and armor ready to go. So with a click of 2 buttons, I can get my gear and the items I need on any quest, and honestly I prefer it that way. It kind of feels disingenuous if I'm hunting an elder dragon in Rise and I can just grab infinite mega potions at the camp whenever I want, whenever I run out. There's no sense of danger or running out of tools and just using skill to finish a hunt. There's so many times where you run out of mega potions or you run out of items and you just have to fight this thing not getting hit anymore, and hopefully you kill it before it kills you. But those moments are gone, and they don't exist at all in the new Monster Hunter games, because the moment the fight gets hard and I run out of items, I'll just go grab some more items. Also, as I was recording this video, I tried to see if there were still lobbies online, and there were plenty of lobbies still on this game, which honestly blows my mind that people are still this interested in this game. Enough to the point where there's probably anywhere from like 25 to 100 people playing online at any given time. And that's a lot for a game as old and as dated as this one, especially on the Switch's hardware. And here I joined some low rank people just to help them out with their quest, and it was just a good time. You know, I have an end game build, and if I can help the lower rank people level up faster, it's just a great time. So on this Rathalos hunt here, I helped some low rank guys out. They had some trouble with this Rathalos, so I joined up with my end game build and kind of showed off a little bit and, you know, helped them out. And it was just cool that I can go back and still do that to this day. It's 2024, about to be 2025, and this game originally came out on the 3DS almost a decade ago, and I think that just speaks to the volumes of how good this game is. Another thing I liked about Monster Hunter Generations is the biomes and the level design. Now, I know they have loading zones or whatever, but for me that was never really a problem, and whenever they talked about getting rid of loading zones, I always thought that was cool, but it was something I ever really mind or like thought it was a hindrance. It was just the style of the game. There was loading zones. So I don't think you can put another Monster Hunter over another one because it does or doesn't have loading zones. To me, I'm indifferent. If I have them, cool. If I don't, great. But the aesthetic of the loading zone worlds just does something for me. And it could be nostalgia. There's no doubt about that. Nostalgia probably plays a small factor, but there's just no denying that these small areas just look so cool. And it was amazing what they were able to do with the limited hardware that they had. Like the volcano areas, the ice areas, the forest areas. They were able to flush out and build these worlds in a way that was believable to the game's universe. I know other Monster Hunter games do this well, except Rise, but still, it's just different. There's no other way to put it. It's just really just different. The aesthetic is different. The charm is different. I guess that's what I'm really getting at here, is to just, these levels just have charm to them. And I feel like that's something that's missing in the newer Monster Hunter games. For example, when I was playing Wilds, it's cool that it's open world and it's a lot of deserty area, but since there's more space, they're just not able to put as much detail into every like square inch of space, you know, because it's open world versus like a closed environment. And these areas are depicting so much in the background with like waterfalls, rivers, ravines, mountains, forest. I don't know, you guys let me know what you think. I think they just look cool. Oh yeah, and I haven't even mentioned the fighting styles that you can equip on any weapon. You have 6 fighting styles that you can equip to any weapon, and they completely change the way you use the weapon and the skills associated with each fighting style. You have Guild, Striker, Aerial, Adept, Valor, and Alchemy. Now, I could go on for an hour and talk about how in-depth these different weapon mechanics are and how much they change each weapon on these aspects alone. But to basically summarize it, these skills change what your weapon does. Like the Aerial will make you do more aerial attacks with your weapons. The Striker will allow you to equip 3 Hunter Arts. You can use moves like Ground Slash or the Moon Attack or Evades, and they help you get out of combat so you can not take hits. Valor is one of the most favorite and iconic fighting styles in this game because basically you get to dodge anything if you time it right, and it's very big on counterplay. So you can dodge attacks and counter, and this is really popular with great swords and long swords, and people take this to the extremes And on top of all the other stuff you can do in this game, you can also focus in on a fighting style, and that can give you another 100 hours of gameplay on that alone. Me personally, my favorite thing to do is use my end builds to just hunt elder dragons for better gear and other upgrades that I haven't gotten yet, while using a combination of the striker fighting style and the valor fighting style. And that's pretty much my bread and butter. I can just do that for countless hours and farm the gear that I want and have a great time. They got my favorite elder dragon, Gora Magala, classics like Teostra, and so much more. This Monster Hunter gave me an experience that I probably would have never had, going to these old towns, fighting old monsters, getting old weapon and gear that I wouldn't have been able to get because it's all locked behind old games and old hardware. And Generations was really the last old style Monster Hunter we ever got, because after this game, World came out and the series changed forever, for better or for worse. And I do enjoy World, I do enjoy Iceborne, and I say they're some of the best Monster Hunters we've ever gotten. I did enjoy Rise after some time. I didn't initially like it at first, but I came around to it and I do like Rise. And after the beta testing with Wilds, I think the future of Monster Hunter looks really bright. But with that being said, I'll always have an appreciation and a love for the old aesthetic and the old style of Monster Hunter, and I think it's just classic, and I don't think they should get rid of it entirely. They should bring it back, maybe on new generation consoles with the same exact graphics and old style that people just love, because I think it would sell. I think old Monster Hunter fans have been yearning for a game like this, you know? These games have so much character, soul, charm, content, and it just has an appeal that I think is just different than where the series has gone. And I'll probably never sell my Switch because of this game. I literally bought a Switch because of Monster Hunter Generations. So yeah, I can't really put into words how much I love and appreciate this game. But yeah, guys, to tie it all back together, the reason why Generations is the best Monster Hunter in the series is because it has the most content, the most monsters, the best looking gear, all the original locales from the first 3 generations, one of the most in-depth farming systems we ever got, and honestly, this game probably has the most love and care that any Monster Hunter game has ever gotten, because it is an anniversary title. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you think I'm a boomer for thinking this is the best game. Let me know if Monster Hunter World shits on this game, or any opinion that you have at all. If you agree with me, let me know. And if you haven't played Generations yet and you have a Switch, type your friend code in the comment section below, and I'm completely down to help new players get acquainted with this game and show them the ropes of old Monster Hunter. But yeah, guys, that's Draco's perspective, and I'm out.